Coming up on UT10 News, a local community turning to alternative solutions to fight the opioid epidemic.
And a look at UT students' triumphant journey to the 2017 Dr. Pepper tuition throw.
Plus, Sebastian Harloff takes us to Detroit as the top two teams in the MAC battled it out at Ford Field for the coveted conference title. Your news in 10 minutes starts now. Thanks for joining us. I'm Madison Humphrey.
And I'm Jed Schilling.
A local company is taking a stand to combat the ongoing opioid epidemic.
As UT10's Brandon Smith reports, the Drug Abuse Response Team is the beneficiary of a 5-figure donation.
DART has responded to over 2,400 overdoses since its creation nearly 3 years ago. The unit recently received a $13,000 donation from the Louisville Title Company. Lucas County Sheriff John Tharp says that the money will aid in their effort against the epidemic.
This will go for the fuel and all the tangible things that we need for that office in order to run it.
Louisville Title President Jim Lindsay explains why the company made this contribution.
The more that we talked, the more we realized what a major public health and safety concern this epidemic was.
Tharp and Lindsay hope to see the discussion continue among college students. I'm Brandon Smith for UT10 News.
President Trump's proposed tax overhaul could have negative impacts in Toledo. The plan would cut taxes for people of all incomes, but would primarily benefit large corporations and the wealthy. Big companies would receive the highest cut. Toledoans are concerned with who the plan would truly benefit.
Anything Donald Trump puts his hand into is going to be more beneficial for the power companies and the rich.
Nearly $1.5 trillion would be added to the nation's deficit within the next decade, according to the National Congressional Budget Office.
And with the opioid epidemic taking over, one local community is looking to pot as a possible solution. Last week, Rossford legalized medical marijuana with a vote by City Council, which feels this would be a safer alternative for patients in need. Any dispensary would be run like a pharmacy and accommodate anyone with a prescription.
I'm not a pro-pot guy or a pro-drug guy. I just want people who are suffering to be able to get relief from their suffering and not graduate to addiction.
Now, the medication would be offered in a pill form, and all sales tax would go to Wood County.
According to the American Cancer Society, nearly 1,700 people die every year of cancer in the U.S. That's why UT students and survivors walked for 12 consecutive hours last Friday night during the Relay for Life in the Student Rec Center. Attendees enjoyed games, food, and a concert. When the clock struck midnight, people were invited on stage to share their experiences with cancer.
I Relay. Someone hit me to stop this.
This year's Relay raised nearly $70,000 for research, patient support services, and educational programs. Rachel Burns, a UT pharmacy student, won $100,000 on Saturday in the Dr. Pepper tuition throw.
UT10's Emily Lorton takes us through her triumphant journey leading up to the big day at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas.
Burns has watched the Dr. Pepper throw ever since she was little. This year, instead of watching it, she was able to compete in it.
I came across it this year, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. And I was so invested. It was all I could talk about for 2 months. And then as soon as the deadline closed, I was like, well, probably won't hear anything. But I did, and I'm still speechless about it.
Contenders stand at the 5-yard line with 30 seconds to throw as many footballs through a giant Dr. Pepper can. Burns and her dad made a replica of the can and started practicing the moment they got the phone call saying she was in.
We've been doing it at least every other night. We've been trying to practice quite a bit.
After the long hours of practice, Burns was able to take the title, throwing 16 footballs into the can. I'm Emily Lorton for UT10 News.
And as we prepare to ring in the holiday season, another celebration is about to go underway.
Kwanzaa has celebrated in the United States for 50 years. UT10's Deshauna Sewell is here to explain what the observance means.
The term Kwanzaa comes from a Swahili phrase meaning first fruits of harvest.
Kwanzaa is an African-American culture celebration of family, culture, and the year's harvest. Each of the 7 days, a principle is celebrated. Director of Toledo Kwanzaa House Committee, Diane Gordon, says she meets very few people who don't know what the holiday is about.
I do know what Kwanzaa is, but I don't have an understanding of it.
Kwanzaa is an African American and Pan-African holiday celebrated by millions throughout the world's African community.
It's about the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. They call it Nguvu Saba. And that's really what Kwanzaa is all about.
Kwanzaa is not to be celebrated with Christmas. It is a cultural celebration that begins December 26th and goes through January 1st.
The Kwanzaa Committee celebration begins December 26th at the Frederick Douglass Community Center in Toledo.
Thanks to Shauna. And a dazzling Christmas display is celebrating 41 years of making the season bright. The Manor House was bought from the Stranahan family in 1974. Volunteers then opened the house to the public as a museum. During the Christmas season, each room is decorated with a different theme, and around 20,000 people flock to see the decorated house before Christmas each week.
The living room tree brings a lot of attention every year. It's just one of those rooms you walk into the space and you feel like you've been immersed in Christmas.
Now you can get out and see the display at the Manor House now through Sunday, December 17th. It's free and open to the public.
I'm Sebastian Harloff, and this is your UT10 Sports Report. It was an intense week in Rocket sports as the women's basketball team took on the Maine Black Bears. But first, the Rocket football team headed to Detroit to face off in the MAC championship for the first time since 2004. This time against the Akron Zips. Sophomore Deontay Johnson was the first to score, opening a game with a touchdown for the Rockets. In hope of getting on the board, the Zips, despite their 28-point deficit in the second quarter, managed to intercept Logan Woodside, returning it 25 yards to the 50. However, Akron would go into the half scoreless. Near the end of the third quarter, UT freshman Shaquille Seymour scored his 13th touchdown of the season, increasing their lead. In an attempt to redeem themselves, the Zips fought back, scoring back-to-back touchdowns. With the gain of momentum, they pushed early into the fourth with a 29-yard touchdown. Nevertheless, Toledo still denied the Zips their comeback. Newly named MAC Coach of the Year, Jason Candle.
You know, I think there's some guys in there that deserve some things that maybe they didn't get, and that's okay, because today they got what they deserved. They've had an outstanding performance in the biggest game of their career and when it mattered the most. I'm really proud of them for that.
The men will now prepare to play Appalachian State in the Dollar General Bowl in Mobile, Alabama on December 23rd. Now on to Savage Arena. The women's basketball team hoped to continue its winning streak as it hosted the Maine Black Bears on Thursday. Right after the tip-off, the Black Bears took control of the game, scoring not only back-to-back layups, but managing to steal the ball several times. They would score 28 points in the first quarter. The Rockets fought hard to redeem themselves with assistance from junior Kayla McIntyre and senior Jayanne Bravo Harriet, but they still trailed by 9 in the second quarter. The Rockets came blasting out of the half as junior guard Michaela Boyd stole the ball, making a layup, providing a boost they needed to turn things around. With a minute left, Bravo Harriet made another layup to help push the game into overtime. As the extra frame began, UT couldn't maintain control of the ball as the Black Bears scored the first 3 points. Toledo was determined to fight back. This was the women's 4th straight win, helping them prove why they're one of the best defensive teams.
More importantly, I think I'm just so proud of our resilient attitude. You know, we spotted them. We could have easily tucked our head and called it a day, and yet this team fought back and gave everything they had, and I'm just really proud of what they did tonight.
His next game is tomorrow in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Thanks, Sebastian.
That's it for UT10 News. This is our final newscast for the semester. And before we go, we'd like to recognize our show director and sports producer who's graduating.
Yes, a very special thank you and congratulations to Aaliyah Coates for all of your amazing hard work this semester. I don't think I could have asked for a better co-producer. On that note, for Jed Schilling, Sebastian Harloff, and all of our crew, I'm Madison Humphrey. Good luck on those finals. Have a great winter break, and we'll see you right back here in the spring for more news from the UT campus.